Carrot Attack Podcast. Yes, guys, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on, people? Guys, as always, just make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. We're just gonna go straight into it. In fact, no, before I do that, yeah, shout out to the bus driver who saw me cycling today and was asking me what's happening to like the podcast, like with the guests and all of that. And I told him I'll be back in 2 weeks because these little short videos that I do, I don't put them out on Spotify. So if you're someone that listens audio, there's probably like been a long gap where I've not had a podcast for you guys. But yeah, it's been confirmed. The guest for next week or the week after, I don't know. We just need to get that in. But yeah, it's coming back, man. Don't worry about that. Don't sweat. You guys that have been rocking me for 6 years, yeah. If there's one thing about me, you know I keep a guest in the tuck. But what I wanted to do was, because what I noticed was that the views dropped way off whenever I didn't have a guest on. Whereas before, even if I didn't have a guest on, the views would be up there. And so I wanted to just take some time out and just work on just putting out content when it's just me. So, but now that the consistency's there, I'm just gonna bring back the guests and whatnot. Hence why next week as well, we've got the MLS show starting. But yeah, guys, what a weekend. What a weekend of football. I've just finished watching the Liverpool-Tottenham game, and 4-3 to Liverpool. And I'm not going to lie to you, 15 minutes in, I was just like, we got another 7-0 here. And 1 second. So 15 minutes in, I was like, we've got another 7-0. But then, I know, and also I was just thinking to myself, how rubbish are Tottenham? Like, it's embarrassing. Last weekend against Newcastle, shipping all those goals, I think it was like 5-0 down at 20 minutes, or maybe 4 or 5-0 down after 20 minutes. Today, after 15 minutes, some of their fans were leaving again. So in the space of a week, they had shipped 5 against Newcastle within 20 minutes, let's say. Gone down two goals against United in terrible circumstances again. Today, 3-0 down. It's embarrassing, you know. At one point, Harry Kane had the ball outside the area and he was just like, just looking, they just came and took it off him, and it was just like there was no sort of reaction. And even Gary Neville was just like, oh my gosh, this is bad. But, you know, they get that goal before half time, and all of a sudden you're thinking to yourself, can they? But then you're like, nah, surely Liverpool won't drop off as much as you know they would have to do for for Tottenham to come back. And sure enough, second half, you know, Liverpool didn't muster a shot on target till the end. But before then, like there was enough. There were those moments where I think it was Son hit the post, and a couple seconds later, Romero hit the post. Do you know what I mean? And Tottenham were the ones looking more likely to score. Obviously, Son then got a goal, but then after that crazy 90 minutes now, when Richarlison gets his first goal finally, scores, rescues a point, so it seems, takes off his top, celebrates, yeah. You know, the amount of times he's done that this season and the goal's been chalked off. He finally gets his first Premier League goal of the season, celebrates like a maniac. Only for 90 seconds later, Jota goes up the other end and just puts one in. And if ever there was a more Spursy thing, it was that. Come back from 3-0 down at Anfield, only to then go and blow it and squander again. But to be honest, you know, the fact that they even got it back to 3-3, credit where credit's due, but to then do it like that, especially how the goal came about. Lucas Moura, what was he doing? What was Lucas doing? Like, to just gift the ball over there and Yeah. It was really really bad, but um, Liverpool get the win, and I think as far as I'm concerned, let me just check the table. We're gonna go into a couple of other things in regards to the game now, but I just want to quickly see what the Premier League table is looking like because I think Tottenham and Liverpool have it all to do in order to um, qualify for Champions League now. So Liverpool are in fifth. Yeah, they're 7 points behind, mate. Behind Man United. Man United have played a game less. So to be honest, it's looking like it's Man United, Newcastle, Arsenal, Man City, Champions League football. So um, yeah, I think it's too little, too late. Liverpool look like they're going to finish fifth, and to be honest, if they get that fifth, credit to them as well because Liverpool this season were awful, and at one point they were down and out. So to come back and manage to get fifth and do a late charge for Champions League, mate, like credit where it's due. But what I did want to talk about was I'm doing it now. I think it was. I've got so many things to talk about. Yeah, so we talk about who's more responsible in when it comes to the team. I'm someone that says, and this is as someone that's played the game and understands what it's like to be on that pitch and I'm an accountable and responsible person. But earlier in the week, I was listening to Simon Jordan. This was after Newcastle and Man United. I was listening to Simon Jordan, and they were crediting the manager, and they were crediting. No. Simon Jordan was saying the comeback against United was down to the players and not the manager, and I agree with him. I think to a certain point, like even what you see today, I don't think it's much on Ryan Mason to be honest in regards to the comeback, because then are we also saying them being 3-0 down is also down to the manager? I think you get to a certain point where the players are good enough to win games. They're good enough to put in performances, but they haven't been doing so. We can say that they're low on confidence. We can say that Conte made them play in such a way where it was just negative and, they've almost forgotten how to play and really express themselves. But really and truly, I think it's down to the players. So I think the response that you saw today was one where the players themselves decided to just be like, you know what, hold on, let's have a bit of pride here. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, we cannot keep getting our skirts lifted the way they are. We can, after what's happened at Newcastle, after, going down 2-0 against United, the players themselves are literally sitting there thinking, no, let's actually play for something. I'm sure they're tired of having to come out after games and say, oh, that's not good enough, reimbursing fans for all their travelling money and all of that stuff. And yeah, it's just not on the manager. And, that 2-0 down, coming back from 2-0 down, I think it was Martin Keown that was saying Ryan Mason has a lot to do with that. And yes, I believe that certain changes were made, yes, but there were players that were on the pitch anyway that decided to come back and actually start playing well. It's on them, and I say that to say because a lot of we want Levy out stuff. Yes, I understand. They would like more from Levy. They would like more investment. They would like just more haste when it comes to Daniel Levy, but a lot of the stuff that's happening on the pitch is down to, the managers and the players. And, when you've got Harry Kane, when you've got Son, when you've got even people like Eric Dyer and Højbjerg, who are seasoned professionals who, I'm not saying you should go out and be challenging for the league with those players or with that team, no. But some of the crap we've seen throughout the season, it should be on them. It should be. Yes, we could talk about the overall trajectory of the season being because of how the manager set the team out and blah, 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 blah. But when you really look at it, the players need to back up their ideas. Because we've seen some of these players perform. We know that they can play when they want to play, but they just haven't been. So I just think that was an interesting point in regards to who takes the blame. Like today, do we say it's Ryan Mason's fault that they get it back to 3-3 only to then blow it away 4-3? No, I think Ryan Mason, he's for what he's there for in regards to trying to get something and trying to salvage something out of the season. Like he's doing that, but I'm not going to put down the results to him. I don't really give him much stock in anything that's happened. So yes, apart from picking the team, maybe I don't really give them much stock. I actually think that him and Frank Lampard have been lined up. Ryan Mason and Frank Lampard, they've been lined up by the clubs to take over, on an interim basis and take over teams who are in a bad way, very, very bad way, who are low on confidence. The fans have lost faith in the players, they look like they're just waiting for the season to just be over and just want it wrapped up by now. And that's not to say Frank Lampard, has been doing okay or he's not been doing bad. No. Let's set this straight now. Frank Lampard has been awful. But what has not helped him is the fact that the teams are... Listen, I personally, if I was Frank Lampard, before it gets any worse, like I heard Darren Bent say earlier in the season that he might struggle to get a job after this. And I honestly believe that if Frank Lampard goes throughout the season, and let's say for whatever reason he doesn't win a game from now to the end of the season, or let's say he just wins one game. Honestly, with what's happened at Derby, with what's happened at Chelsea before and Everton, honestly, he will struggle to find a job. So he'll be very lucky if he gets a job after this spell. So if I was him, I would go now. If I was him, I'd leave that club. I'd just say, you know what, there's too much to be done here, and I don't think I'm the right man for this because whatever. But he needs to do some sort of PR, some sort of damage control because, listen, it's going to be hard for him to get another job. Let's just say that. And honourable shout out to Harry Kane, and I know I'll always give Harry Kane. No, you know what? To be honest, nah. There's a narrative going around that I don't like Harry Kane or that I always give him stick just because I said he's not world class. Do you get what I'm saying? But I always give him praise. It's when he deserves to be praised. Do you know what I mean? In those big moments where he's been involved, he hasn't shown up, and that's okay. It's okay, but I just want to give him praise for the fact that 25 goals in a team like Tottenham, who have been struggling all season, is crazy. And it's mad that you can get 25 goals in a season and be absolutely dwarfed by someone that's gone and scored overall 50 goals in the season. I think Haaland has now 34 goals. Look at that. So 34 goals. Harry Kane has 25 goals. Ivan Toney, what a season he's had. 20 goals in the Premier League. What a season he's had. 20, Salah 17, and Rashford 16. Remember when everyone was saying Rashford was the best player in the world? Yeah. So, yeah, no, credit to Harry Kane, man. He's been ridiculous. Do you get what I'm saying? Even things like today, in the second half, towards the end of the game, there was a point where he's down on the left side of the pitch. Without even looking, first time, he did one left hook round the corner, ping to the other side. And I was just like, that is stupid. That is absolutely stupid. And he's such a good player. And, we talk about Gary Neville. Yeah, so Gary Neville mentioned during commentary that if he was in charge at Tottenham, he would make Harry Kane stay and run down that last year of his contract so that any new manager that comes in has Kane and Son to work with, and they can at least build some sort of foundation so that when he goes next season, they've got something to work with. But if he was to go now, at the end of this season, it will be really, really hard for Tottenham. And do you know what? I disagree. I don't think they should hold on to him. I mean, obviously they'd want to hold on to him. They'd want to always keep him, so anyone that guarantees 20 goals a season every year is someone you want to keep. But I think at this point, we look at last season where he went, no, the season before where he tried to leave, it didn't happen. And then we look at last season where they thought maybe something was going to happen. He stayed again for Conte. Nothing's happened. Trophyless again. I think at this point, you just got to let the guy go because he deserves trophies. Harry Kane, for what he's done in the Premier League and for what he's been about, he deserves trophies. And if Tottenham don't let him go, I think there's going to be... If Tottenham don't let him go, I think it'll be very poor from Tottenham. I think the loyalty he's shown to Tottenham over the years, he deserves that big move. And they should 100% facilitate that and make that happen. And if they don't, then, yeah, it's unfair. So I think he's going to go. And it's interesting because Ten Hag said they need that number 9. They're missing that number 9. And even when you watch them today, Man United would be so much better if they had an out-and-out like striker. Rashford, sorry, it's been a long week. Rashford was their striker, but he's not an out-and-out striker. Rashford, for me, is better when he's on the wing. Left wing, cutting in, bang. Do you know what I'm saying? Where he can face up his attackers and run at them. And, Rashford ain't... When it comes to that, playing with your back towards goal, that's not Rashford's game. Do you get what I'm saying? Rashford's better at just running in behind and all of those things. So he's not a striker. And I think if they were to go all out and get Harry Kane, it's problems because then they add that they increase by a good 70 to 100% in regards to striker. So Man United should go all out to get Harry Kane because they need a striker. And when you look at how they're playing, how Ten Hag has got them playing so early on in this process, honestly, by adding a striker and 1 or 2 players here and there, you're going to have a team that is going to compete next season. And he might just be the missing piece to the jigsaw. So, yeah, Harry Kane to Man United. I'm calling for that one. I'm hearing as well that he might go Chelsea, but Chelsea and Tottenham don't do many transfers between. Does anyone know why that is? And it's not about the battle of. Oh, I think we've spoken about this before. I think it had something to do with the Willian transfer, why Chelsea and Tottenham don't get along. I don't know. Yeah, because someone just confirmed this, where this whole Chelsea-Tottenham rivalry came from, because they don't sell each other players. They don't like each other. Do you know what I'm saying? So I don't know where that's come from. Do you know what I mean? So to hear Harry Kane being linked with a move to Chelsea, I can't see that happening. Even Pochettino going to, as managers, it might be different because then Conte also did that and Mourinho did it. So it might be a bit different for managers. But yeah, just someone confirm where that rivalry came from. Sorry guys, quick commercial break there. So what else do we have on the agenda? Oh yeah, just on Liverpool, very quickly. Just Trent. I can see why they're playing Trent in centre midfield. And I said a couple videos ago that in the long term, Trent ain't it in centre midfield. And yes, great passing, ridiculous passing. So is that enough to just play him in that midfield, especially when you look at what Liverpool require from their midfielders? Do you get what I'm saying? They need the midfielders with the energy. They need midfielders with know-how. And even today, I said, when you put him in there against real centre midfielders, he's going to look lost. And in the first half of the match today, I mean, there weren't really much for him to do, to be honest. He was having a field day. But the moment Tottenham got their act together and actually started playing football, Trent weren't looking like a great centre midfielder. And this is what I was saying. It's not that I don't think he can do it, but when you're coming up against men who are in that position week in, week out, you're going to need more than just the passing, especially if your team ain't set up to protect you and ain't set up to just give you the ball and let you dictate it. You get me? So, and then on top of that, he's not just playing as a centre midfielder. He's doing the inverted thing and then going back to right back. But what's happening is that there's space down the right because they haven't quite mastered. Do you know what I mean? They haven't quite mastered the system. So yeah, it's just I definitely feel like if it's one or two games here and there, if it's just in game where he comes in and whatever, fair enough during the game where he does that inverted role. But honestly, they need to go in and get midfielders, so so they don't have to rely on Trent, because over the course of the season, Trent will do some amazing things. He'll do some amazing things in there in regards to passing, but he's not the answer. So let's keep that all the way funky. That was all I had to say on Liverpool. Good match though. Hey, have you noticed that towards the back end of the season, we're getting some really, really good games? And for me, the Premier League this year it's been a really, really good league in regards to, the quality of football we've seen, the quality of games, like the excitement in games. That it's actually been really, really good. And for a long time, I didn't think the Premier League was the best league in the world. But honestly, it's an outrageous league. And when you look at the other leagues, they've all kind of had drop-offs as well. So yeah, this year has definitely been the best. Definitely. Right. Manchester City in cruise control. Manchester City, they won 2-1. I think they got their first goal after like a minute or two, after like 2 minutes. And from there, I just started watching the Man United match because, I started flicking between the two because I was like, I already see what kind of game it was. So I flick over to United match, and then I'm hearing that Vinicius scored. I'm like, what? Could there be an upset? Do you know what I mean? And then Julian Alvarez just, the footwork and then the whip into that top corner, crazy goal. And if I talk about Alvarez quickly, it just goes to show that when your recruitment is right, you don't have to spend big, crazy amounts of money. So, like, I don't know how much they bought him for. Maybe 10 mil. I don't know. Julian. So I'm just going to check how much they bought him for. Julian Alvarez. They bought him for. It doesn't say. It doesn't say. But I don't think they bought him. Okay, how much did they? Okay, 20 million euros. I don't know what that is in pounds, but they bought him for 20 million euros. And look at the buy that he's been. I think he's got 8 goals this year in the Premier League. And for someone to come off the bench who ain't really a starter week in, week out and give you what he gives you, I think it just goes to show like you don't have to spend the crazy money. You know what I mean? If you've got a team where their recruitment is right and the scouting system is right, you will get these players. So we talk about some of the players. Talk about Brighton. I'm going to talk about Brighton in a sec because out of this world. But Brighton, Mitoma, Casiado, and Cisco. You know what I mean? Like all of these players, and even Arsenal with Martinelli. Do you get what I'm saying? Like picked him up, and what a player he's been. And even Trossard when he came over, like from Brighton, and then even Arsenal went and bought him, as opposed to the 89 mil that we would have spent on Mudryk. Like it just goes to show that when the scouting system and when the recruitment is right, you do not have to spend crazy amounts of money. That's why, in January when everyone's like, nah, spend the money on Mudryk, and then we went out and got Trossard. I'm talking about Arsenal here. I was just like, why? Like, I'm happy we didn't spend that money, 89, because that doesn't guarantee anything. But I think sometimes people think that if you're willing to spend big, then it means that, yeah, like we spent big money, this guarantees, it don't guarantee anything. We've seen it with 72 million for Pepe. We've seen it for 80 million Maguire. No, like 80 million doesn't get you 80 million worth of performances. Gone are the days where the money you spend reflects the player you're getting, because that is not the case anymore. So, yeah, Julian Alvarez is just, he's been really, really good, man, this year. And Jack Grealish, yeah, I remember the first season, and guys, I'm going to try and find it for you, but if I don't, hopefully someone else will. And hopefully you lot will back me up in the comments when I say this as well, yeah. I've been saying last year when Jack Grealish wasn't playing well, I said, let him settle into this Man City team, and then we will see a good Jack Grealish. And this season, Jack Grealish has been really, really good, especially the second half of the season. And I think because people have this thing against Jack Grealish, £100 million player, has he been giving you £100 million worth of performances? No, he has not. But that doesn't mean that he hasn't been playing well. And he's had a really, really good, I think of all these attackers, bar Haaland, he's probably played the most minutes out of the attackers, because he's become that important to Man City. And yeah, no, I big up Jack Grealish, man, because people wrote him off early. They wrote him off early because of the price tag and he's English, and they just didn't want to see. They just didn't want to give him any leeway or any grace to fit in, because from Aston Villa to Man City is a massive jump, and I don't think people quite recognise that. So when I was saying, look, he hasn't played as best as he could, you know, he was getting used to the system. You know, you can't just go there and do the freedom football you've been doing this whole time with what do you call it, the freedom football you've been doing this whole time with Aston Villa. No, it doesn't work like that when you get to that level. So he's had to settle in and get used to the way that Pep wants him to play, and then he's implemented his own style on it. He's able to be free now, knowing that he knows the job that is being asked of him. So first of all, he does that job, and then he gets to express himself. So credit to Jack Grealish. Massive part of their season, you know, going the way it has. Obviously, you got Haaland scoring outrageous amounts of goals, but then you've also got Kevin De Bruyne obviously doing what Kevin De Bruyne does. But then after that, you're literally looking at Jack Grealish as a massive part. Rodri, massive part. Ruben Diaz, man, he's just, what a defender. What a defender he is. And also Manuel Akanji. I'm just going to start naming all their players, because all their players have just been playing well, man. But yeah, good recruitment. It goes a long way, man. And City squad depth is amazing and stupid at the same time. But yeah, that's all I've got to say on them. What's next? Oh yeah, I mentioned Manchester United earlier on, and guys, if you like what I'm saying or don't like, make sure you put the comments in. Like, let me know what you guys think, by the way, and just make sure you, for the algorithm, just press the like button. But yeah, just comment what you guys think so far. But it was just a very quick one on Lindelof, Victor Lindelof. I was watching the United game, and there was a point where I've forgotten who it was. Someone had a shot. I think it was Douglas Luiz, and then it was going top corner, and then Victor Lindelof cleared it off the line with a header in it. And I've always said, I think I might have said this on the last podcast, but I just don't understand why Victor Lindelof has never been given his props, because I've always said he's a better defender than Maguire. And if you put Victor Lindelof next to someone who is at least competent at their job, and Luke Shaw in that centre-back role, the left side of the central defence, he's actually competent. He does what is necessary of him. He's not going to give you the highlight, reel when it comes to defensive performances, but he's going to do a job, and you don't have to focus so much or worry about him so much. And when you put him next to someone like that, in regards to Luke Shaw. When you put Lindelof next to someone like that, you see a good Lindelof. So I just never understood why he doesn't get game time ahead of Maguire. Interesting though, Marcus Rojo said how he said to Ole that he should be playing ahead of Maguire, and Ole said we bought him for 80 million, so we have to play him. Do you know what I'm saying? That's interesting that Rojo said that. So yeah, no, big shout out to Lind. I'm a fan of Lindelof. I think you need those defenders around, and if he's happy to just be like a second defender in regards to on the bench and start games here and there, then you keep him in your team, honestly. And I think I heard that they want to keep him, but I don't know if he might also just want to go and play week in, week out, which he deserves as well. Do you know what I mean? So, does he give it another season? And Varane looks like, this might be his last. Next season might be, one of his last seasons at the top. Injuries might come in with their other thingies, with their other centre backs, and he might be the next in line. Do you know what I mean? Like, we need to just have a look at it, because Lindelof is a great like squad player. And yeah, what do you guys think? Newcastle. Listen, Newcastle are a problem. Arsenal still got to play them. I'm not hopeful at all. I was saying that even if we had beat City earlier on in the week, I wasn't confident that we would have gone on and beaten Newcastle. Nah, like Newcastle are a massive problem. Even though I don't like how they're playing, but when it came to City, they were toothless, absolutely toothless, and I didn't like that. But listen, Alexander Isak has the potential to go on and really be world class. And you know me, I don't use the term world class lightly, but when you look at his movement, when you look at the threat he imposes, you look at even the maturity he has at such a young age, and you look at his finishing, his skills, dribbling, like he's got the potential to just be a total world-class all-rounder. And if Newcastle go on and do what I think they're going to do in regards to spend the money and recruit well and get the upgrades on certain positions, so we're talking like the long stars positions and the burn at left back position. Do you know what I mean? If they go on and really, and even like get another winger who is an upgrade and probably going to be on that world level, if they do that and you keep Isak fit and you give him a run again and you get him playing, what a player. They might have a chance of keeping him. Otherwise, nah. He's gone, because he's ridiculous. And I remember years ago when he was linked, I think it was about 2 years ago, he was linked to, it might have been last year, he was linked to Arsenal. And people were turning their nose up at him. And I was just like, you lot are absolutely crazy. And now we're seeing what he's doing. You see what he did against Everton? And you see him do little things like that all the time. Like, he's tall and he's got that lanky, frame, but the feet on him are stupid, man. And yeah, man, I honestly believe next season, because this has been his first season and he's been injured for bits of it. So next season, when he really settles in and he's playing with better quality players behind him, listen, I would not be surprised, and I'm saying it now, if he will easily get 15 goals in the league. 15 goals in the league for me, easily, because he is that good. And the potential he shows, like, whenever he plays, mad. And you know what I like? He's got a mentality on him, like, a let's have it, like, yeah, come, what, you want a war? Let's go to war. He's got that mentality about him, and I love that on players. Absolutely love that on players. So, yeah, big him up. Yeah, it's going to be very tough to beat. And then the last thing I wanted to say was Brighton. Yesterday when I watched Brighton against Wolves, the football Brighton are currently playing, yeah, De Zerbi, yeah, he's not going to get manager of the year because Pep will probably get that, or Arteta will probably get that after Pep. But De Zerbi has done a massive job. When Graham Potter left Brighton, they were playing good football. Not the great, but they were playing good football. They couldn't put the ball in the back of the net, but they were playing good football. De Zerbi has got them playing with a crazy fluidity and freedom that Brighton might just play the best football in the league. City will control possession. City will suffocate you, but Brighton play. Their football is it's just so free flowing. It's just so flowy and wavy, and everyone knows there's always 2 or 3 options. You know, the ability to play short passes. They've always got a player like in and around the player receiving the ball, and they can do everything in one touch. And everyone knows their job. Everyone knows what where they need to be. Yesterday they left out Mitoma, they left out Casiado, and I think it was Undak. What's his name? Oh, wait, one second. Let me get his name now. Because Undav, I think his name was. I don't like messing up. The names. Brighton. Undav, yes. Undav came in, and Cisco was playing, and it don't matter who comes in, but they play exactly the same. It reminds me of, can you remember that Barcelona team when, I'm not saying Brighton are playing at Barcelona before we get, but can you remember that Barcelona team? They would get a kid, bring him in. It don't matter. It don't matter who comes into that team. They, from their youth team or whatever, they play exactly the same way and they fit in. And that's what I'm seeing with Brighton right now. Like when I saw the murmurs that when Matoma and Castillo were left on the bench, and people were like, they're not taking it seriously. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Listen, nah. They knew exactly what they were doing and they did not skip a beat. So it then lets me know that it's less about the players and more about the system. Yes, their players do have quality as well, 100%. But if you've got players that know the system, they will continue with what they do, and they will play exactly the same way. And then you add the players in with that little bit of quality. Casiado came on yesterday, and there was a bit where the goalkeepers played it into him, and it looked like he was going to get crowded out, and he just did a mad turn, and he's out playing. Took 2 players out of the game, and like when you add those little bits of extra quality, it just obviously just makes you that much better, innit? And yeah, Brighton, credit to them. They just play really, really good football, and if they continue to improve, and I can't even tell them to go and spend big because their recruitment is so good. When you look at the money that they're paying for people, and then you look at the money that they're selling people for, their recruitment is already at a very, very high level. So you just have to big them up each time. But that's it from me, guys. In the comments, let me know what you guys think. And guys, please like the video. Please check out my MLS stuff. It would be good if you lot like adopt an MLS team as well. I know that the only way for you to really go in and pursue that is if I'm consistent with it. But trust me, I've got a player confirmed. We're recording this week. Well, I've got a couple players confirmed in terms of the MLS stuff. We're recording this week. It's going to be on Zoom. I'm not going to America to do that. And yeah, just let me know what you think, man. So yeah, guys, I'm out. And I'm going to put this one on Spotify. So if you're listening on Spotify or iTunes or whatever, like go back to the YouTube videos because I've been releasing stuff on YouTube. And yeah, I'm out in a bit.